Hello and welcome to Hitbullseye. My name is Manish, and in this video we are going to take a look at the topic of the week, that is the new Parliament building. So this new Parliament building has been inaugurated by the Prime Minister last week, and it is not just a building, it is the temple of democracy. Now that we are the world's largest democracy, this building is not only going to represent a brick and mortar structure, but also the values that it is going to carry. In this video, we are going to take a look at the history of the old Parliament building, some important features associated with the new Parliament building, and everything that you need to know for any competitive exam. Let's take a look. So this, as you can see, is the new Parliament building, and behind this is the older Parliament building. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated this building on 28th of May. There is exquisite artwork inside the building, and there was a scepter called Sangol, about which we will be discussing by the end of this video. So we'll discuss about that. And it has been constructed at a cost of approximately 1,000 crore rupees, and it is triangular in design, utilizing the space in that particular plot where it is situated. Right, so here is this building and some facts associated with it. Basically, the Parliament of India, the building that has been inaugurated, is a part of a larger project called the Central Vista Redevelopment Project. So Central Vista is basically both the sides of the Kartavya Path that leads from Rashtrapati Bhavan all the way to the India Gate. So both the sides are going to be completely redesigned, redeveloped, and all the ministries of the central government are going to be housed in those buildings. So it is completed and part of the Central Vista Redevelopment Projects. It is the Tata Projects Limited that has constructed this building. They won the contract, and there is a whole lot of features that we will be discussing in a few moments. Now, talking about the most important features, first of all, let us acknowledge this gentleman over here. His name is Bimal Hasmukh Patel, in short known as Bimal Patel. So he is the architect of the new Parliament building. So Mr. Bimal Patel is a renowned architect, urban planner and academic, and he has done certain really remarkable projects, like for example the Central Vista revamp. Entire project is under his guidance. Then we have the Kashi Vishwanath corridor. That corridor was also designed by Mr. Patel. And finally the Sabarmati riverfront project in Gujarat was also designed by Mr. Bimal Patel. So he is the architect of the new Parliament building. Then, now what are the key facts about this building, the new Parliament, that you should know? First of all, there are going to be two main houses. So one is the Lok Sabha, as you can see over here. This is the new Lok Sabha, and these are the actual pictures. So this is the Lok Sabha, and as you can see, the Lok Sabha is themed on peacock. This is important to know because peacock is the national bird of India. So the themes have been that way, that Lok Sabha is themed after peacock, which is the national bird, and Rajya Sabha is themed after lotus, which is not the ruling party's symbol. It is the national flower of India. Okay, it might as well have been a very it could have been a very illogical controversy in that way had the opposition parties pointed out that is the ruling party's symbol. Thankfully that did not happen. There were other trivialities to be discussed actually. Anyway, so the Lok Sabha is based on the national bird theme, and what is really important is that the current Lok Sabha has 543 elected members according to the Constitution of India. The total sanctioned strength of the Lok Sabha is 550 members, whereas 543 is the functional strength of the Lok Sabha. But the Constitution places a bar on the increase in the number of seats that happens after every delimitation exercise. But because there was a disproportionate increase in the population of northern states as compared to the South Indian states, the South Indian states demanded that the delimitation exercise be banned. So a freeze was put on the exercise until 2026. What it means is that after 2026, there can be a rethink over the overall strength of the parliament, which is definitely going to increase because the population of the country has trebled in these 70 years. 3 times it has increased in these years, but the number of members of parliament has remained the same. So definitely it's going to increase, and the new parliament building has the primary objective of accommodating all the increased members of the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. So the new parliament has 888 seats, and in fact even the joint sessions are going to be held here only, and more than 1200 seats can be there if in case there's a joint sitting that is to be held in this house. Right? 1272 seats to be precise. 1272 seats are there in the new Lok Sabha, which is a massive capacity. And then we have the Rajya Sabha. So this is also the real picture of the Rajya Sabha, and it has the lotus motif, which is the national flower of India. Right? It has 348 seats, up from the 245 seats in the current Rajya Sabha. 245 to 348. So it is highly anticipated that in the next 3 to 4 years there will be an expansion in the size of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in terms of membership. So of course, where would those new leaders be accommodated? Because the old building was too old and too tiny to accommodate all those people. In fact, the current Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, like in the old building, even they were not accommodative of the the current number that there is. So it was modified after independence. Anyway, so these are the two houses. Then there is a third hall which is not as huge as it was. So this is the Constitutional Hall. The purpose of this hall is basically to give the users an experience of the proceedings of the Constituent Assembly, various features of the Constitution being discussed over here, so that the people visiting can have that kind of an experience about how the Constitution was made and its different features. This hall will serve as a significant space within the building. Then there are certain standout features of this building. There is no central hall. So there is a central hall in the old Parliament building where the joint sessions used to be held, which has a huge dome which is approximately 100 feet in diameter, and where the Constituent Assembly held its meeting. I'll show you the pictures in a few moments. There is no central hall because the Lok Sabha will act as the sort of house for the joint sittings as well. It is an earthquake resistant building, so keeping in values of a new style of architecture. Earthquake resistant building has been made. All the modern facilities are there. It's a very high-tech building having all the displays, all the multimedias, everything, voting buttons, biometric authentication, everything is inbuilt into the building. So it does reflect a new, I would say, new modern building, that has all these technologies. Eco-friendly construction has been done. Green construction materials have been used. Energy-saving devices, reducing electricity consumption have been used in this building overwhelmingly. Committee rooms are now bigger. There are so many committees of parliament that have to conduct their proceedings. So there are enhanced committee rooms to accommodate the increased number of members of committees in the upcoming years. So it's a futuristic building, basically made with an intent to serve for yet another 100 years, because the old building was 100 years old. Media facilities are there, a lot of media facilities, galleries and everything will also be available. It has a public friendly design, and its architecture is by the Tatas basically. The Tatas have created, the Tata Projects Limited has created this building. So that is all about the new building, nothing really significant because it hasn't made any historic moment yet. As contrast to the older building, which is this one, which has a lot of history going down. For example, if we talk about the architects of this building, the old Parliament, it was Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker. These were the two gentlemen responsible for designing not only the old Parliament but also much of old Delhi, including the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the India Gate and the likes. So These two gentlemen designed most of these things, and at that time it was commissioned by the British government. At that time it was in 1920s, and this building was home to the Central Legislative Assembly, the Council of State, and the Chamber of Princes. So these three houses that we now call the Central Hall, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, they were actually the Central Legislative Assembly, Council of State, and the Chamber of Princes. Later on they became the Central Hall, the Rajya Sabha, and the Lok Sabha respectively. So this building, the older building, took 6 years to construct, and it was opened in January 1927 by Lord Irwin. Lord Irwin was the viceroy at that time, so he inaugurated this building. So to those of you who do not know, just take a look at this building. Don't you think this building served as an inspiration for the older Parliament of India? So this building is a temple called the 64 Yogini Temple in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So this building is believed to be, it is not on record, this building is largely believed to be the inspiration behind the old Parliament building. It's the 64 Yogini Temple in Madhya Pradesh. 64 Yogini means it has 64 small temples of Lord Shiva in the outer circular corridor. So this has 64 small temples of Lord Shiva, and it is believed to be the inspiration behind the old Parliament building. As far as the inspiration for new building is concerned, it is basically the plot of land that was available. It was triangular in shape, and that is why for the best utilization of that particular plot of land, and also to have a distinction from the old Parliament building, it was given a different shape. A scale would have been too obvious and too old, and a circular, circular model would have confused it with an old and new Parliament building. So perhaps that's why they chose a triangular model. Now in the old Parliament building, as I told you, there's a central hall. So this is the central hall, and it's a huge hall. Like, it's really huge. And this hall has so many historical events attributed to it. If I talk about the early modern Indian history, then the Constitution of India was written in this building, in this particular hall. So the Constituent Assembly's meetings used to take place in this hall. As you can see, this photograph, this is the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly taking place in this hall. If you see clearly, if it is visible in the screen, I'll show you. So this over here is then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru standing and delivering his address. This is the opening day of the first Constituent Assembly, that is the 9th of December 1946, and this is the Central Hall of the Parliament, the same building which I showed you, the same hall which I showed you in the previous picture. So this is the exact hall, and this one is the exact same hall, right? So this is the Central Hall of the Parliament where the joint sittings have been held, and so many historic occasions it has been witnessed to. For example, if I tell you about the recent times, the Goods and Services Tax was launched from this hall by the then President Dr. Pranab Mukherjee in 2017. On the midnight of 30th of January and 1st of July 2017, the GST portal was launched midnight 12 AM by the President. Right, so many other historic things have happened here. And finally, the controversy about the Sangol that we have been talking about. So Sangol is basically a scepter. Scepter means it's a sort of a stick which is about 5 feet in length, and this has its roots in the ancient or medieval Indian tradition, where one king used to pass it on to another king. Now when India was to get independent in 1947, there was this ceremony that was held on then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, as you can see in this picture. So Tamil Nadu's, what happened at the time was actually Tamil Nadu's Tiruvaduthurai Adhinam, one of India's oldest mutts. Mutts means where the seers are there. They were given the job of making a scepter to symbolize the transfer of power from the British to India. This task was given to them in 1947. So at 10:45 p.m. on 14th of August 1947, like just 1 hour before India was to get independence, at the midnight, when Jawaharlal Nehru then delivered a historic speech of Tryst with Destiny. So just 1 hour before that, this ceremony was held, where Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru received this Sangol from Tamil Nadu, and in the presence of several senior leaders, he accepted this as a symbol of achieving independence. Although there was some controversy on this, but there are photographs, there are records to show that this ceremony did take place, and it signified the transfer of power from the British to the Indian hands. Why is this so sure? Because this Sangol stood for that in the ancient and medieval times. Because whenever one king used to give this to another, it was like passing on of power from one king to another. So that is what it signifies now. So Narendra Modi installed this Sangol in the new parliament on 28th of May, just behind or just beside the chair of the new speaker in the Lok Sabha. So Sangol is a staff or wand held in the hand by a ruling monarch as an item of royal or imperial signia, signifying sovereign authority. So it has been installed in the new parliament, and it is from Tamil Nadu, the tradition of Tamil Nadu. That was, what the controversy was about, but it signifies the transfer of power from one to another. So that is all. This is the new Parliament of India. We hope that the new Parliament not only is a new building, but also the sunrise of new traditions and new customs, where the parliamentarians behave in a parliamentary way, where the sessions are not disrupted every now and then, and where the parliament makes historic legislations that take India on the path of progress. With that hope and with a lot of optimism, this is me, Manish Mittal, signing off. Thank you.